Welcome to the Urban Highlights podcast. We're glad to have you back. Today we have another fascinating city for you, filled with plenty of facts and curious stories. Okay, so today we are heading straight to West Africa. We're doing an immersive deep dive into Accra, the really dynamic capital of Ghana. Our mission, as always, is to unpack the source material you've pulled together and, well, truly try to capture what makes this city feel like the pulse of West Africa. Let's maybe set the geographical stage first, just the basics.
Right, so Accra.
Right.
It's the capital, like you said, and the largest city in Ghana. It's right there on the south coast, along the Gulf of Guinea.
Okay, got it. And before we jump into the big historical moments, I saw something fascinating right in the name itself. Our first interesting little nugget.
Yeah, it's a great hook, actually. The name Accra. It's apparently comes from the Akan word nkran.
Nkran.
Yeah, nkran. And it literally means anthill.
Anthill,
Yeah.
seriously.
Seriously. Apparently inspired by just the sheer number of black ants in the area when the Ga people first settled there. Think about that image, though. Industry, activity, organization on a massive scale. Kind of fitting, right?
Wow, I love that. It really does foreshadow the kind of activity we see now, because this isn't a small place, is it?
Oh, definitely not. It's a massive urban area. The metro region, I think the source said, was home to well over 5.5 million people back in 2021. So it's grown even since then, probably.
And the scope sounds incredible, too. You mentioned these contrasting districts.
Exactly. You've got the really old trading heart, Jamestown and Usshertown, with all that deep history. And then you jump across town to places like East Legon, which are these modern, rapidly developing residential and commercial neighborhoods. Big contrast.
So tension.
Yeah.
Yeah, between the old and the new. That seems key.
It absolutely defines Accra. I mean, its origins were pretty humble. Just simple fishing villages established by the Ga-Volta ethnic group. But then the 17th century, that was the real turning point. Everything changed.
How so? What happened?
Well, that coastline became strategically irresistible to European powers. The Portuguese, the Dutch, the British, the Danes, they all wanted a peace. So they started building trading posts, fortresses, places like Fort James, Fort Crevecoeur. And that transformed this coastal strip from just local settlements into a major global hub, really, for trade. And that lasted for centuries.
Right. And that strategic value then became politically essential later on.
Precisely. In 1877, Accra was formally declared the capital of the British colony, the Gold Coast. That move basically sealed its fate. It became the undisputed administrative and political center from then on.
Okay, but colonial capitals, they don't always transition smoothly to independence, do they? Looking through the sources, there's one event that really jumps out, a catalyst for Ghana's freedom. Tell us about the 1948 Accra riots.
Yeah, that date, February 28th, 1948, it's absolutely monumental. It started somewhat simply with ex-colonial war veterans protesting. They wanted payments they were owed, better conditions. But then the police fired on the demonstrators. And the riots that followed, well, they weren't just a local disturbance. They completely exposed the deep cracks in the colonial administration. And it galvanized the whole nationalist movement across the Gold Coast.
So that was the spark.
That was the spark. The implication, the real so what of it, is that those riots directly sped up the timeline for Ghana achieving independence, which happened in 1957. And after that, Accra transformed. Almost overnight, it felt like, from this colonial administrative town into a modern, rapidly growing African metropolis. Government institutions, major banks, multinational companies, they all started setting up shop. It was nation building at really high speed.
And that kind of rapid growth must create a really dynamic cultural scene, right? A mix of old and new.
Yeah, the sources paint this picture of constant motion. You've got traditional Ga festivals, which have been going on for ages, happening right alongside this really cutting-edge modern art and music scene. It's quite a blend.
It really is. And visually, to really capture that energy, we have to talk about the Chewo Street Art Festival. Have you seen images of this?
I have. It looks incredible.
It's more than just an exhibition. It's like a city takeover. The sources say entire streets in Jamestown just convert into these open-air galleries. You've got theater, music, performance art.
Right out in the open.
Exactly. It feels like this powerful statement of cultural ownership,
Wow.
bringing art right into the streets, making the city itself the canvas.
And that's the energy of the youth, I think, but it's still rooted in history. Because while Chewo is very forward-looking, you also have these formal landmarks that ground the city in its more recent past.
Like the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum.
Exactly, a really powerful memorial to Ghana's first president. And there's the Holy Spirit Cathedral, too, which is quite magnificent. It was completed, interestingly, in 1957, the very year Ghana gained independence.
Wow, symbolic timing.
Very. But, if you want to understand the city's, true circulatory system, the day-to-day pulse, you absolutely need to step into Makola Market.
Ah, the famous market?
It's not just commerce. It's a total sensory overload, in a good way. It's this pulsating heart selling absolutely everything. Vibrant textiles, mountains of foodstuffs, and, yeah, the sources specifically call out curious goods, like snails being traded there.
Snails. Okay, that shows the variety.
It really does. It's the epitome of traditional commerce meeting daily needs.
And speaking of daily needs, the food scene sounds foundational. We hear about jollof rice all the time, that famous West African debate.
Oh, the jollof wars, yes.
But the sources say the daily routine is really built on staples like banku and fufu. Can you maybe describe those for people who might not know?
Sure. They're not just side dishes. They're really the heart of many meals. Banku is this fermented dough made from corn and cassava. It's often served with grilled fish or soup.
Okay.
And fufu, well, fufu is probably more widely known. It's that dense, starchy staple made from pounding boiled cassava, plantains, or yams, usually eaten with a rich soup. Eating these dishes, that's really participating in the local culture.
I can imagine. And that participation doesn't stop when the sun goes down, right? The nightlife.
Definitely not. The Osu district in particular gets highlighted for its really high-energy nightlife. You've got Afrobeat clubs, live music venues. It really reflects that modern, youthful urban pulse we were talking about. It connects tradition with global music trends. It's a major social hub.
That vibrancy seems mirrored in the city's social fabric, too. The languages, the religions.
Absolutely. So English is the official language, yes.
Yeah.
But walk around and daily life happens in local languages like Ga, Akan, which includes Twe, you. It shows a deep linguistic diversity.
And religion.
It's predominantly Christian and Muslim, but what's interesting is how these often blend or coexist with traditional African belief systems.
Yeah.
It creates this really rich, sort of layered spiritual landscape.
It sounds like daily life is just this visual collage then. High rises next to traditional neighborhoods.
That's exactly it. You see modern skyscrapers, then turn a corner into these close-knit traditional communities, bustling street stalls everywhere, market activity, people strolling along the coastal promenades.
And the sources mention a strong focus on community and football.
Oh, massively. Community life isn't just indoors. It spills out onto the streets, around the stalls, in the markets. And yes, football or soccer is absolutely huge. It's a unifying force, a cornerstone of neighborhood identity and pride.
It sounds like a truly international city, too, not just Ghanaian.
Very much so. The sources point out significant long-standing communities, particularly Lebanese and South Asian groups, and you really see their influence, especially in the city's diverse food scene and in parts of the economy.
Okay, let's talk economy, because this is where Accra's global impact really comes into focus, right?
Absolutely. Accra is, without question, the economic heart of Ghana. It hosts numerous banks, insurance companies, trade firms. It's the engine driving the national GDP, no doubt about it.
What about the key industries? Is it still traditional stuff?
Well, yes and no. Traditional sectors like textiles and food processing are still very important. They employ a lot of people. But what's really driving future growth, according to the sources, is the creative and cultural economy.
Ah, interesting. Like the Arts Festival we mentioned.
Exactly, but broader. We're seeing a real strategic shift towards sectors like fashion design, film, music production, and even tech. The sources suggest Accra is fast becoming a hub for digital innovation across West Africa, blending that commercial drive with artistic output. It's pretty exciting.
And connectivity must be key for all that. How does it link up?
It's crucial. Kotoka International Airport is the main gateway, providing essential international access. Then you've got rail and road networks connecting the city inland, and really importantly, linking it to the massive port facility down the coast at Tema. That port is vital for trade.
Okay, but let's pivot slightly. Growth like that, it always comes with challenges, right? The price of success, you could say. With over 5.5 million people and that rapid economic expansion, what are the big pressure points? Housing, infrastructure.
Yeah, that kind of acceleration inevitably creates immense strain. Traffic management is a huge one. You hear about it constantly. The existing road network just hasn't kept pace with the dramatic increase in population and, importantly, vehicle ownership. It's a massive daily challenge.
I can imagine.
And similarly, housing. providing adequate and affordable housing for a constantly expanding population. That leads to big issues with urban sprawl, sometimes informal settlements, and unequal access to basic resources. These are problems many successful, fast-growing cities face, but they seem particularly acute in Accra right now.
So how is the city governed? It's the political center, obviously.
Right. It's been the political epicenter for over a century now. It houses the Presidential Palace, Jubilee House Parliament, all the key ministries. That role is cemented.
And what's the focus for the administration today, given those challenges?
A major focus seems to be on securing international partnerships. They need funding, expertise, primarily for those big infrastructure projects. Trying to ease the strain on transport, improve utilities, manage waste. Those are the priorities. Maybe we can shift our gaze a bit to the natural environment. Accra sits right there on the Gulf of Guinea, tropical savanna climate.
Right. So hot, some rain.
Well, here's the interesting thing. It's actually kind of paradoxical. Despite being right on the coast, Accra has a surprisingly dry climate overall. It experiences these quite long, intense dry seasons.
Really, that's counterintuitive.
It is. And it impacts everything. Water management becomes critical, urban landscaping choices, agriculture in the surrounding areas.
Where people go for recreation, is the coast usable?
Oh, yeah. People definitely enjoy the sea. Spots like Labadi Beach are very popular. And there's some nice green hills around the city for escapes, too.
But that coastal environment must be under pressure.
Huge pressure. We have to acknowledge the serious environmental challenges. Waste management is a massive one, just dealing with the sheer volume produced by millions of people. And water management, both supply and sanitation, is critical too. Keeping the environment healthy while the city grows so fast, that's one of the biggest balancing acts they face.
Okay, so to sort of wrap up our deep dive, let's bring some of these threads together with a few final, maybe memorable curiosities. We started with that fantastic name, Origin.
The Anthill. Yeah, definitely unusual for a major capital city. You won't forget that one.
No kidding. And you see that mix of history and future everywhere, right? Like the Independence Arch.
Exactly. Standing there, very symbolic, like a gold pillar marking the birth of modern Ghana. And then just look around. You see how quickly the city is morphing. Those old colonial quarters. The sources describe them as actively transforming into these hip design and creative centers.
That constant change.
It really defines it.
And that blend, the deep history, the economic power, this forward-looking creative energy that seems to be why you hear people, especially online and in the arts scene, talking about Accra ascending, becoming the cultural capital of West Africa. It feels like a genuine shift, doesn't it? From just a trade post to a real trend-setting metropolis.
It absolutely does. And maybe that leads us to our final reflection. Accra's history, is defined by things like colonial forts and independence riots. But its story now is being written in street art, in digital innovation, in creative commerce. So the question maybe for you, the listener, to think about is this. How can a city like Accra manage that balancing act? How does it meet the demands of being a necessary economic engine, which requires constant growth and development, while also preserving its incredibly diverse cultural past? And doing all that while tackling the very real challenges of its environmental future, especially with ongoing pressures from traffic congestion and climate change. It's a huge task. Thank you for tuning in again. I really appreciate your comments and subscriptions to this channel. It helps us a lot. Be sure to tell your friends about this podcast and share it on the social media platforms you use. Thanks, and see you next time.